Why do we like criminalizing everything?
We're smooth 98.1 FM. Good morning and welcome to Freshly Pressed, and the analysts are getting ready right now. They are seated as we get ready to dig into the newspaper headlines this morning. And we invite you especially to be part of the conversation as we get into it. We'd like you to send us WhatsApp messages to 0809-444-0981. That's also one medium via which we can read your thoughts relating to the headlines this morning. And then, of course, you can be part of our YouTube family. It's growing and it's fast. There's enough space for you there. Reach out across, go over to youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can as well, the advantages. After the show, you can also go back, catch up on past edition of Freshly Pressed, and then you can also be part of it right now as it's streaming. And just leave your thoughts there. We're sure to pick them up as we get along. So let's reach out to these two gentlemen as we pick up the papers this Wednesday, the hump of the week. I want to say good morning to Lakunle Yusuf. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning, everywhere where we're here. It seems like it wasn't so much a hot day in Nigeria yesterday. The news item today looks not looks good somehow. Yep.
So some good news there, right? All right. So that's a reprieve. But let's go over to Devoe Okorie. Good morning to you, Devoe.
Morning, Omas. Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. Eku, female bank MDs. Eku, who runs the world? Girls.
So let's move away now as we get Devoe ready to get into the papers. Devoe, you start a conversation for us, and let's go over to pick up the first paper this morning. And that would be reaching out to see what the paper is looking like from the Premium Times stand, where the headline here reads, Reps want federal government to criminalize importation of Adire Kampala. That's what it is. So speak to us about the economics of this and how it bodes well for us. Devoe.
Yes, Adire is one product Nigeria can be proud of. It's a fabric made from the old traditional
Devoe, we're waiting for you to help us unpack this paper, the headlines. All right, let's go. Devoe.
Yes, can you hear me?
We lost all of the thoughts you got across, so you would have to go back again and help us get in touch. Let's bring us up to speed with you. All right, so let's get Lakunle, please. While Devoe sorts out his network issues this morning, let's get you respond to this relating to Nigeria. Getting the reps saying that getting laws ready to criminalize the importation of Adire.
Okay, yes, can you hear me now?
Okay, Lakunle, let's give him one more try. Yes, go ahead, Devoe. Yes, we can hear you. It's better now.
Okay. So, like I mentioned, the Adire making used to be one of the popular cottage industry opportunities for lots of small SME businesses within the country. But I think within the last 5 years, there's been a threat to the industry with importation of the same Adire into our markets. Initially, people thought it was coming from Côte d'Ivoire because they also do Adire. But I think trade analysis has fingered high importation of Adire from China. And not only do they come in from China, they come in bulk and they come in cheaper. And because they're coming in cheaper, it's very difficult for local manufacturers to compete. Hence, this push, which initially came by some of the industry players, now it's taken a legislative angle to push for a ban. Well, it's going through second reading. I think the usual trade policies should apply. It shouldn't be because of the sake of a ban. But yes, you want to encourage and protect local industry manufacturers. But at the same time, you don't want to be too highly prohibitive because remember, Nigeria does not operate in isolation. We're part of a global trade network. Hence, whilst we export and expect people to receive our products, we should also be willing to receive other people's products. So at best, you can raise duties just to give your own local products an advantage. And for me, beyond the adire trade issue, the real problem here is, why is the cost of producing adire expensive? That's question one. Question two, why is the cost of producing manufactured things in Nigeria high? We know the problems and the challenges with energy, okay? We know the challenges with distribution in terms of logistics. We know the problems of also exporting, meaning even though you get things out, to get it out of the, I mean, even though you produce things, to get them out of the country is going through hell itself. Government as a presidential strategy to lifting. Remember, Nigeria is suffering economic woes in terms of its currency as well as revenue. These are opportunities to break out from the non-oil sector in enhancing, supporting these sectors to be able to seamlessly get their goods out there. And in so doing, not only do they improve revenue to the country, they sustain employment and even increase it, because adire is quite popular. So I think the government should take this as a strategic, not just because of adire, but because of the whole manufacturing sector, and look at how they can support them to ensure that jobs are created and revenues earned to the country.
Thank you, Devoe, for your thoughts and for helping us get a better sense of the story. Once again, we remind you, we'd like to get your thoughts coming through on to the WhatsApp platform on 0809-444-0981 WhatsApp messages. We also would like to read your thoughts on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. We're streaming at the moment. So, Lakunle, if we talk about adire, it touches you. Bring it home, and we know you've got something else to add to this before we reach out to how we can connect this to Naira and dollar.
Okay, so my thoughts, Devoe has actually asked the right questions. Why is the cost high? Why aren't we exporting our own, and the rest of them? For me, my mind always goes back to one of Fela's songs where he says that, why is it that government likes to make laws about destroy, ban, burn, and so on and so forth? Why are we making a law to criminalize importing of the stuff of adire? Why are we not making the law rather to encourage or to make production of adire cheaper in Nigeria? Why are we not making a law for our power to be effective? Why are we not making law that cause the duties you have to pay for exporting is lower than the next country? In Nigeria today, to export a 100 cubic feet container is at $5,000. To do it in Cote d'Ivoire is less than $10,000, right? So which countries people will want to export in that perspective? Why are we not making those kind of laws? Then Nigeria doesn't stand alone. We just signed AFTA, was the ACFTA treaty, even though I'm not sure if it's the effect. We're a member of the ECOWAS, where all member states, 15 states, have equal access to entry and exit for 90 days to trade, blah, 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 blah. So if we are signatories to all those things, why are we making laws to prevent people from those places to bring their stuff here? Is that not anti what we have signed to? So while one understands the reasoning, yes, but the basic thing, why are we not encouraging people to move from their current methods of production to a more effective and smarter way of production? Why is it cheaper from China? Because those guys have deployed technology to their own production. Here, by and large, we still do the usual soaking, tie up, 3 days, 1 week in the dye, and so on and so forth thingy, right? But if you go to China in 1 day, what it cost us 10 days to do here, they do it in 1 day there. So of course, it's going to be cheaper from there. So those are the kind of laws one would expect us to be making, not just sit down and criminalize somebody who is bringing it.
Thanks so much, and let's maybe hope to hear what, if the law passes, let's hope to also hear what the World Trade Organization, WTO, would say about protectionism in that regard also, because we see what the US and China, they're also going through in terms of production and how cheaper it is on the other side in China. But let's see how Naira and Kobo would add up and what it's looking like against the dollar. And it seemed like the Naira has come off life support a bit now, and it's breathing from what I see now from this angle. From the Vanguard newspaper, Naira rises to 1,580 Naira to a US dollar in the parallel market. So so what would it look like on the official market? This is reporting yesterday. So is this cause to smile this morning? And one of the reasons why you're beaming with smile, Lakunle.
Yeah. So when I saw this report, I quickly went to check if this was actually true. I saw that yes, this is 1580 various parallel markets reporting outlets reported this same amount, but the range of the sale for the day was between 1,626 and 1,004. That means some people bought as low as 1,415. And the highest rate was about 1,000. That's about a difference of about 200 Naira out there about, right? So if we ask ourselves, what caused this drop in the parallel market? I mean, it's just like they say in economics, demand and supply. So the people who are demanding, who are pressed for dollar, maybe yesterday, has dropped. Because like I keep saying, in my little knowledge of how this thing works, much of the rise of the major currencies against the Naira has no fundamentals backing them. You just wake up and yeah, it is this amount. So it appears to me that somebody just wakes up somewhere and say, this is how much you are selling it today. And then it goes. So if people come to buy, they sell. If people don't come to buy, they review and say, okay, let's sell lower. So that's what it appears, because the indices of the things that will make Naira the exchange rate to fluctuate yesterday, the day before, last week has not changed. We are still not a producing country. We're still not selling the 2.1 million barrels of oil we're supposed to sell per day. We're not generating anything more outside of oil. Food inflation is about 36%, if not higher in some states now. So the things that will indicate that this is the reason this thing is dropping, they have not changed. So I think that this, just as the way it went up, which was not backed up by any fundamentals, is the same way it is dropping, not backed by any fundamentals. Like, it then goes to back again to what some of us suspect from day one, that we have commoditized these currencies. We're not actually paying for the real value of the currency. What we're doing is that we are paying for the availability and access to it. That means that it's just the same way you go to market to buy yam, the yam that's available. If it's available enough for all of you to buy, you buy at whatever price they call it for you. So that's what I think is happening here. And I think that we should start to focus on the fundamentals, and that will help us to be able to gauge what exactly the true value of our currencies against other international currencies.
Okay, so
can I add to that?
Just before you add to it, I like me to also backtrack a bit and just link up the Adire story into it, because you talked about commodities and it seemed like we're not producing enough. So when you link this up, instead of those laws criminalizing now, production is the case, and then would this shore up the value of the Naira if we're sending some things out?
Absolutely. So just like I said about exporting today. So to do 100 cubic feet of a container is about $35,000 if the customs will charge you, right? So the people who make Adire, for example, how many of them have $35,000 to pay? So there's a disincentive to export from that perspective. So, but if we were producing enough, and the custom and excise, with their duty is not primarily to raise money, is to facilitate trade, to provide a service so that your trade can be fast and quick. Are we meeting the standard? Is Nigeria Export Promotion Council, I know they are doing a lot of work teaching people how to package their products so that it can be acceptable in international markets. I've been a beneficiary of one of their workshops. I've seen what they do. How many people are aware of this thing? They need to be more out there to let people know that your products will only sell when it gets out if you meet this minimum standard, and so on and so forth. So if we're not producing, if our customer excise is not encouraging them, if Export Promotion Council is not doing enough, if those are the basic things that we need to focus on. so that by the time we do all that, we can then even not worry about what the value of our currency is, because what it means for us at the end of the day is that when our goods get to those places, it will be cheaper than what is obtainable there. Just like Japan has been doing from time immemorial. They ensure that our currency is cheaper than yours, so that when their goods get to you, it's cheaper than the one you're doing in your country.
Let's go over to Devoe. Devoe wants to add something to it before we reach out to the next paper, which he will be helping us unpack. Devoe, we are over to you now.
Okay, I just wanted to state that what Lakunle was referring to as the true value or the fair value of the naira, because our revenue lines have been challenged, okay, from crude oil exports to export proceeds itself, and even external remittance, all right, which doesn't go to the government, it goes to people's pockets. There's been high volume with the removal of subsidy. Money has increased to the states. So what people have seen is a pattern of anytime the federal government shares money, you will see the exchange rates shoot up, simply because a lot of that money is being used to buy up any dollar that is in the market. So my point here is that speculators, you'll always hear the CBN say they're trying to tackle speculators. There are many people who are speculating with our currency, and that is why you see this up and down movements. While some people debate the issue of Binance, but I think we know that the real problem lies with those people who are using large sums of naira to chase the few dollars that are available.
Thank you, Devoe, for adding that to it and for expanding our horizon on in terms of the true issues relating to the value of the naira. But let's get on to this, the Nation newspaper, where President Tinubu writes reps, the representatives seeking passage of bill to improve judicial officers' welfare. So again, we're back to laws again to get actions underway, not criminalizing Adire now, but to improve the welfare of working people. Speak to this for us, Devoe.
Yes, I think it's been on the table for a long while. Most times we talk about if you want to move Nigeria forward or if you want to attract investments, you need to ensure that the judiciary or the legal system in this country is solid. Beyond the usual challenges that we know, one of the greatest challenges that is hardly spoken about is the compensation for judicial services in this country. Before I even get to judges, let me even start from when they leave school. Many lawyers know that the bulk of lawyers who leave our law schools come out to earn what they refer to as pittance, meaning some get paid, some don't even get paid. And when they get paid like slaves. They earn slave wages. It takes a lot. Literally, that's why most lawyers leave the sector and join other sectors, because it takes so long for a lawyer to climb up to an SAN level, one. And for those who get appointed as judges, it's not even better, because the civil service enumeration for judges is so poor. I mean, I think in another article, they mentioned how a Supreme Court justice was earning only 1.2 million in a month. Now, in other countries, a Supreme Court justice is literally a demigod, okay? Not just because of the money that they earn, but because of the stature and their contribution to society. Now, how is it that a National Assembly, either a House of Rep or a senator, earns almost 15 times what a judge who carries on more weight, brings more balance and contribution to the society earns? I mean, some of these realities are aberrations, and administration to administration, so much has been said, but very little done. So that is why the presidency is making a move so that they can review the salaries, wages, and allowances. I don't like the word they use, fringe benefits there, for our judges. And I think whilst they make that move, they should look at qualitative and quantitative, meaning improve the quality of compensation for our judges nationwide, both at the federal and at the state level, across the Supreme, the appeal court, the high court, and the magistrate court, as well as increase the quantity of judges within the system. These are the measures required to restore dignity back to our judicial system. I know state governors who make a ceremony out of donating cars to state governors. Yes, they have first line charge now, but the truth is, what comes to them is not enough to take them home
Thank you,
and keep them
Devoe, for your
far from
thoughts.
corruption.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Keeping them far from corruption. So I understand Lakunle would have to chip in this. But again, the calling of a judge is more like God on earth. But again, are they called to live a life of flamboyance rather than an austere life where just the necessary will keep them going?
Good pay
So
is not
so
flamboyant. Sorry, I had to add that.
okay, no, I just needed to get that because you raised that also. So as Lakunle would come into the conversation in just summary now, Lakunle.
Okay, so quickly, the judiciary is the third arm of the of government, right? But I just a curious question: who legislates on when the National Assembly member review their allowances? For example, they do it through the National Assembly Service Commission, I assume, right? They are not subject to revenue,
Ramfak, I think that,
utilization,
yes.
whatever. They are
No,
not.
they use their legislative powers to pass the budget. They've been abusing it since. That's what is happening because
Okay,
they're the ones
so
that pass the budget for everyone.
okay, so there's a National Judicial Council, right, where there's a first line of charge. Why is it that the law does not permit the National Judicial Council to make these adjustments? The last time the salaries of judicial officials was increased at the federal level was 2008. If we go and check each of the states, I am certain there will be some that the last time it was done was before 1999 to date. So, and like you said, we have impoverished these people. You put your justice system in the hands of people that can easily be enticed. A Supreme Court judge earns about 908,000 naira a month. That's about 11 million a year. And then you are asking, so for example, a governor who has a security vote of maybe like 500 million monthly, who will come to him and say, look, this is how I want this case to be done, when he knows that he can earn out of that 500 million. We are all human beings. Let's be very factual. We would never have a good justice system as long as these people are where they are. And I think that the law, or rather the Nigerian Constitution, should empower the Judicial Commission to do this review on a regular basis. In fact, they should even put an interval, maybe every 5 years or every 10 years. Because a system that a society where the justice system is this impoverished forgets justice.
Right. So Lakunle, we'll just look at the punch while we get to look at some of the comments here, then we get your thoughts relating to that headline shortly. So let's see what the messages are rising here for us. So Cisco Delgado's thoughts comes across saying, pushing for a ban on adire is not the solution. Federal government should better encourage SMEs, that's small, medium enterprises, in terms of providing necessary requirements for these industries to work efficiently, maybe i.e. power, right? Okay, federal government should provide steady electricity supply, low taxation on these SMEs. The Chinese encourage their people, even the villagers, to produce and manufacture goods for exportation. Cisco Delgado's thought this morning. And I'll find Tony from Marine Beach here saying some ideas seem logical but not workable in our environment, as we Nigerians have a way of manipulating processes to our selfish interests. The adire manufacturers will form unions and extort Nigerians through monopoly if they saw sales through. And then it goes, we see that already playing among the cement manufacturers and rice farmers, making rubbish of what you call economic theories that tells you if you produce locally. So where is the wisdom in all of that? But let's go on. Vincent's thought is what I'm looking at, and he says, I agree with the analysis. Nigerians should think of modern ways to produce and sell at affordable rates. Why should it be the cheaper to produce and bring in from China that it is to produce in Nigeria? That means we are being exploited. And I'll go over to Additional's message from Ajawa State. Says, Lakunle, you may need to check again. Export customs duty, zero. If you are referring to terminal and shipping charges, it is a complete case, different entirely. Then Abbas is here. Abbas says Lakunle customs not charging exports. Exportation, if not items imported and to be re-exported according to the fiscal policy of 2022 signed by former President Buhari, where 2.5% surcharge to be paid. Don't pay customs due. Maybe mixing up the shipping company's freight charges for customs duty. Okay, so let's get back to you, Lakunle. Lakunle, let's go over to this Punch newspaper, if we will now. Looking at it, Senate amends extradition laws for offenders outside the Commonwealth. How does this help our criminal justice system eventually?
Okay, so this probably just speaks to us that like I've always maintained, that our laws in a lot of ways are very, very behind the times where we are. And it's a good thing to hear that we're updating these laws. Nigeria is a member of Interpol, which means that any country in the world should be able to make a request for extradition of a Nigerian or a foreign national who is hiding in Nigeria for any crime. But here we are, as of today, the law we have only says that it's only Commonwealth countries that can do that. So, for example, if France, that's not a member of Commonwealth, makes a request for extradition to Nigeria, we will not honor it. Meanwhile, Nigeria is a signatory to many other the drug law thing the anti-piracy, whatever, and so many others, inclusive of Interpol. So I think that is a good thing that this should quickly be done. But then, however, while doing that, we should also look for ways to ensure that while we are acceding to other countries, getting people out of here on this request, that while we're doing it, we should also have a relationship with all the other countries such that when we need to extradite people back to Nigeria as well, that it is easily done. We should take a look at what applies vis-a-vis all these other extra agencies that we are signatories to the conventions and rules about, so that it is not a one-way traffic. And then we have a judicial system to vet such requests to be sure that it is genuine and it is not just on the basis of, I just want to get that person out of you. And I think that it's something that we should quickly do and pass to law, so that criminals themselves can know that the idea that once they get into Nigeria, they are safe is off the table. Okay. And that's what I should say.
Thanks for your thoughts. Let's go over to some more messages before I go across to Devoe again. And Ajayi Oloniluwa's message from GRA Sherry says, it's not only Adire that should be banned, but all textile materials as a whole. Time was when Nigeria was the hub of textile manufacturing, but unfortunately, our textile factories are now praying grounds. Ajayi Oloniluwa's thoughts. And I'll find a message coming in from A.B. Bozimore, yes, from the bench this morning, and he says, one of the reasons for the currency speculation each time FAC is shared is the perception, even by government officials, that domestic currency is a poor store of value. So they store their value not in heaven, but in the dollar now. That's my just emphasis there. But then it goes on, this is because the government officials do not consider themselves as good managers or promoters of economic policy and wish to avoid the deferred gratification involved in building societal wealth. A.B. Bozimo's thoughts this morning. And then we'll go over now to get the next one. Zachary Ibrahim, I see you. It says the National Assembly's Act before they think, in his opinion, this was the same way rice was banned during the last regime, and we're told we could produce enough both locally and for export. How much is a bag of rice today? What about the pyramid? You didn't see that, but moving on. Then it goes on, why not ban petroleum importation and make our refineries work? Reps, stop majoring in the minor and focus on global realities of international trade. Ibrahim Zachary. Emeka Onelum. Remuneration of lawyers are really poor. I met this lawyer who told me that the only time he makes money Good money is during election litigation. Oh, they pray for the season. I know lawyers who left the practice to start business. Some use law practice as an addendum to their degrees. It is one thing reviewing their pay. It is another thing to implement them. Emeka Ondalum's thoughts this morning. Oluwaseyi messages here, and it says, criminalizing importation of any goods without helping local producers to produce and export the same set of goods at a cheaper rate isn't going to stop smugglers from bringing them in and in the long run destroy our own production. It is not rocket science, but the way we go about things in Nigeria make it appear so. I see that. Okay, I see a message from Dari. I see your message. I see Dan Okudu's thoughts this morning. Thank you all very much. But Devoe, is Devoe still with us? All right. Lakunle, I'd like you to just quickly respond to this. It's ongoing now where about 63 persons crossing highways, trading streets were picked up for not using pedestrian bridge. Say a message across to Lagosians right now so they know this is what's going on.
Okay, so let's do this as a public service announcement. People please consider yourselves first, save yourselves and your families and your loved ones the agony of weeping over what is an avoidable death or the troubles they go through and the monies and the discomfort will cause them to keep you in the hospital. The hospitals are already overstretched. Please, when there are overhead bridges, pedestrian bridges, please use them. Please use the zebra crossings instead of jumping into the road. People are sensitized enough to know that when they see you at the zebra crossing, they should stop for you. Of course, there are still a few who don't know the meaning of the zebra crossing. And then would also plead the government to continue to sensitize Nigerians, particularly those of us in Lagos, about these things. As small as they may seem, they are very, very important. It's cost a lot of money to put those things up. Let's use them, please.
Thank you very much. And so we say thank you to Lakunle Yusuf for your time this morning. And also thank you to Devoe Okorie for your time. And also to you who sent in your messages. Well, stay with me at about 15 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock will be time for us to get inside the locker room for everything sports related. Good morning. We are Smooth 98.1.